Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. So, I wanted to get on here and continue working on this design for the fence speaker. This is where we left off yesterday. So, basically, what we have to do is paint the crow, shade it, and shade these leaves and highlight these leaves. Now, something I noticed, I actually need to shade right in here on the wagon wheel, and I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of shading down below. So we're going to get started and get at least this portion finished up today. And then I can start on the other element along with the banner. So we'll start off shading this part. And I'm actually going to shade, I think, down in here as well. So I'm going to use a color called milk chocolate. That's what I was using yesterday. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. Our storms wasn't that bad yesterday. I mean, it was testy there for a while. And I noticed you could actually hear the wind. So that tells you it was pretty strong here yesterday. But we're supposed to be getting more storms, so I don't know. And I'm going to just paint this one, I think, to be on the safe side. I don't think it needs it. And I need to shade and highlight I think I'll just dry brush. That's probably a smarter choice. Need to shade and highlight these pumpkin stems as well. So I'm just going to dry brush a little bit of milk chocolate down in this area just to make it a little bit darker. Instead of trying to float. Just want to kind of cast a little bit of a shadow. And I didn't rub my paint off all that great. I don't think you're going to see it all that much, so... It's a little bit darker, so be it. I'm loving how this is turning out. Hello. It's turning out pretty nice. You know what, while I'm at it, I think I'm gonna take some of this milk chocolate and kind of just go down this one side as well. Just to darken it up a little bit. And the only reason why I'm doing that is it's on the inside, so it's towards the wheel, just to kind of cast a little bit of a shadow. And I'm going to sand some of these edges just a little bit more. And how much you take off kind of has to be a personal preference. It just kind of makes it look a little bit more weathered. All right, good enough. So I'm gonna shade, I think, I'm done with this for now, these pumpkin stems with a little bit of dark chocolate, and I might have to go and maybe hit them up with a little bit of asphaltum. I want it to be a little bit darker, but there's not a really big difference, I don't feel, between the dark chocolate and the milk chocolate. So we'll see how that looks once it dries. Can't really see it all that much. So instead of wasting my time, I'm just gonna go to the asphaltum. And I didn't shake that all that well, so I don't know how well it's gonna do. And I'm just bringing it up about a third of the way. And while I'm at it, I'm going to use the asphaltum and kind of darken these up a little bit more. And I'll probably go over that center a little bit more. And the reason why I'm doing that is I just kind of want to cast a little bit of a shadow on that inner circle. Because we're going to be putting just a centerpiece in there. This asphaltum is it's a nice color. All right. And I think to highlight the tips of these stems on the pumpkin, I'm going to use cocoa. You could use honey brown as well. This is just a little bit lighter than the honey brown. Ew. So I'm just going to do the top and maybe just go down the side, let the top dry real quick. I have too much water on my brush. That faded pretty good. And that's all that needs to be done. Sorry, I'm just looking at something. All right, so let's use the Hauser light green. And I'm going to start off dry brushing on these curves, and then I'll go back and float. And I might even use a little bit of celery green. To lighten this highlighting up even more. See how much I can get away with. Something else you can do is use a little bit of yellow to highlight as well, to bring in a different color. But I'm just going to do the tops of these leaves. And then I'm going to probably take some celery green, which I need to find. And just kind of go over that. This is just a very faint way of highlighting when you dry brush. It's just a delicate highlight or shading. Unless you don't wipe enough of your paint off, then you will end up getting more on than what you want. And then when I come to my surface, I'm just using a very light touch. And I'm just looking for a small variance in color, not a whole lot. part of me kind of wants to take like citron green, which is a brighter green, and it has a little bit of yellow in it, and float over top of this. Just to brighten up the edges of these leaves even more. So, let me look into that. It's definitely a bright color. Maybe I'll use the olive green. It's not as bright. And something you can do is actually mix the two colors, which I think that's what I'm gonna do, is mix the Hauser Light Green and that olive green to get a little bit lighter color. And what it's kind of doing is it's adding a yellow cast. I'm using more of the Hauser light green than I am the olive green. But I'm just getting the tip, the edge. And I needed to do that as well, and I did not. So I'm just going to float. Okay, I know I want to take the Hauser dark green and dry brush some shading. These smaller leaves are going to be a bummer. Because the last thing I want to do is get it on my pumpkin. And I'm just going to use this bigger brush for now and see what happens. I just kind of want to darken them up a little bit. And I'm being very hesitant with this color because I know how dark it can be. Actually, the bristles on this particular brush that I'm using, even though it's the same brand as the others, they're very soft. And I don't like how the dry brushing goes on with this brush. But you gotta have a dry brush to dry brush. And my other one is still a little bit too wet. And I'm kind of walking up this dry brushing up to like the vein below, just below the vein. Let's see what I can get away with this. Because I want the lower half of the leaf to be darker. And then I will probably go back and, excuse me, lightly float shading around the edges. That has a leaf that goes on top of it. But I also, at the same time, need to, I want to shade behind this as well, so if I just stick with adding dark to underneath the vein, I'm gonna accomplish what I want to accomplish. You folks probably can't see the shading all that great in the camera, but there's definitely a difference. This here might be a little rough. float in these smaller areas. And I'm just kind of using my finger to blend. Sounds like my husband's gonna mow. He certainly is. And what I'm doing is I'm using my angle brush, but I'm just using like the very tip to go around these curves. And I'm getting more of the darker paint kind of as a line. And then I'll go back and I'll go over that. Once the paint dries. So I'm not trying to get the whole leaf. I'm just trying to darken up the edges. just make the edges a more solid dark green. And I think where this overlaps, I'm going to go next to that vein. And if you wanted to darken up these leaves even more, the shadow, a color you could use is black green. But I would use that oh so carefully. Very carefully. And I think I'm gonna go over this one highlight a little bit more. Just to brighten up that layer. I mean, if you wanted to, you could go along the veins, but I'm not going to do that. That would add some extra highlighting color. I actually need to hit these stems a little bit more. And I might even use some camel or light buttermilk to brighten them up even more. All right. The water's pretty nasty. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this crow, get its feet and beak painted. I'm gonna use marigold. And I might as well paint this other little beak as well. Because we have another crow. It's just on a smaller scale. I wonder if I can get away with sponging. Not too bad. All right. Okay, good enough. All right, I'm going to take white and I'm going to paint this whole area. I'm just going to use my sponge because the center part is going to be black. The crow's going to be black. I'm going to use soft black on the crow. But I don't want to sit here and try and take a paintbrush and go around both. So I'm just going to use my sponge. And I'll have to probably put a couple coats on because it'll be blotchy. And then I'm going to use the soft black for the crow. And the reason why I use soft black is it still comes out black, but I will actually shade this crow with black. So I do what I can with the sponge, and then I'm going to go back with the brush. And I think that white's good enough. And if you were to choose to use soft black, don't be alarmed that it goes on. It kind of looks like a really dark, dark brown. But when it dries, it's black. If I didn't say I was using soft black, you would never be able to tell in the camera or pictures of my finished product. I'm trying to get it pretty thick around these eyes because I really don't want to. This brush is terrible. It did not last long at all. mess that up. Missed my mark. Did it again. And I'm not worried about the score lines on here. pretty good coverage. A little blotchy here and there around the eyes. Okay, so with that being said, and I realize I like to say that a lot, with that being said, I'm going to let this dry really, really well. Hold on a second. I'll let that dry really well, but I'm not happy with the highlighting on this pumpkin stem, so I'm going to take a little camel and see if I can just brighten it up a titch. And that's that. All right, so I'm going to empty my water, let that crow dry pretty good. What we need to do is highlight the crow, highlight the beak and the feet, do a little shading on the feet, some shading on the crow, paint the black of the eyes, dot the eyes, and honestly, this is good to go. This is going to be ready to glue. So we will get this done, and who knows, I might be able to start on the other section. We will see. So I will be back shortly. Hopefully you stick around. Okay, let's continue on. I'm going to take some regular buttermilk and highlight the toes of this crow's feet and then the nose. And I like to just take and do the right side and then kind of wrap it up around top. And I think this time around, I'm going to see what the difference is in the color. I'm actually going to try the raw sienna for shading instead of the burnt sienna. Just for something different. I got way too much paint out here to suit me. I don't think I've ever used this raw sienna for anything. And I think I actually like it better than the burnt sienna. And it might be something I consider using to shade flesh. I have to go over that. His feet kind of look like candy corn. I don't know how I feel about that, but then I'm just going to go on the left side and kind of come down to the bottom, and then I am going to go around the top, but I'm going to let that dry. And something you can do to brighten up the highlight, and I think I'm going to on the nose, is I think I'm going to add a little light buttermilk and just use a smaller brush just to brighten it up a titch. Trying to stick just to the very edges. It's a bark fest here, and I don't know why. I don't know what he's barking about. Unless the groundhog is out. And then I'll let that dry pretty good and just go around the top. And I think to highlight this bird, I'm going to try neutral gray. I'm going to highlight the tips of his feathers and the top of his hair. And I will probably go around the inside part of his body. This is a very mellow highlighting color. And that's kind of what I'm after. I don't want too much highlighting on this crow. So I'm just kind of going across the top and blending it in where it meets, going down the side. Yeah, I do like this raw sienna. You can hardly see that highlighting. I don't know. I want it to be a little bit more noticeable than what it is. now my bird's barking. Okay. I'm going to take some regular black and I'm going to shade down the body, on each side of the body, on the wings. And we'll get his eyes painted, and he is good to go. I put way too much paint out there. Did it early. Part of me kind of wants to put something around his body. I actually think the highlighting color is graphite. Which is not great difference, but I'm gonna go for it. It kind of separates the wings a little bit. It doesn't make that much of a difference. And when I paint my eyes, it's a little time consuming. But you'll see me, I just tap the paint out into the area that I need it to go. I start off in the middle and then with paint, and then I kind of just tap it. I just messed that up, not to go over it. And it's usually pretty spot on. And I always pull my paint to me. I feel I have better control that way. And if I move my paintbrush from side to side, I am more comfortable moving it from left to right. But 9 times out of 10, I stay within my area. Every now and again, I'll go outside the spot, but it's pretty rare. This is just what works for me. Because once you start painting eyes and you're dealing with circles or ovals or whatever, you go outside that area, one, the shape's getting all wonky, and then two, whatever it is that you're painting keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you go back to try and fix this side. And it just, everything gets uneven and you're just finding yourself trying to overcorrect. Like I said, that's what works for me and helps me keep the shape better. It just takes a little bit longer, but it's less cleanup. And I'll try and correct that one area. And then we'll dot these eyes, and honestly, everything's done. Too much water on my brush. I don't know, I might highlight the inside of that body just a little bit more. maybe go around with the black one more time on the other side of the wing. Alright, let's find a stylus and dot his eyes. And that's too big. I don't want that. That is way too big. And he is good to go. So we'll let him dry real good. And we'll start gluing this together. So I'm going to start off by gluing these little pieces parts on the leaf. And I'm just going to go so far up. I actually have way too much glue. It doesn't take a whole lot of glue. And with this piece, like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot of glue. You don't need to load it up. I'm just going to apply glue to the surface of this pumpkin and right at the top of the pumpkin. And that is going to be more than enough glue to hold this in place. Because this glue is pretty darn strong. I'm putting way too much glue on here. And when you apply too much glue, like I just did, you're asking for your, whatever it is that you're gluing on, to move and shift. And it'll not line up. Got that one off a little bit, but oh well. And I much rather apply to the surface. And here's the reason why. If I put it on the back of that pumpkin and I accidentally drop it onto my surface, this glue does not dry clear. So then I'll end up with a white mark. And I don't want that. Because I have a tendency to drop things. So that's why I do it like that. And like I said, it doesn't take a whole lot of glue. I have some type of paint or something down here at the bottom. Which I might have to try and touch that up, because that's going to bother me. That will bother me. And I'll go back over and highlight it. And I'll wait to glue that on. He is looking pretty cute. I better watch myself. I got glue where I shouldn't have it. Let's take a little tangerine and try and highlight. Where I fix that. Now, I didn't put the circle right here for you to glue that so you knew where to glue it. I'm going to adjust the pattern so you don't have to guess about it. Now on this particular thing, I think I'll use my tweezers. These tweezers aren't really wide enough. And I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it up. That's pretty centered. And that's that. Now I gotta watch because I got glue on this piece of paper. So, this is the other portion. I absolutely love this. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. And this is actually really for using 1/8 inch Baltic birch. This is very heavy. To me, it's got some weight to it. So, I love it. Now, I already have this particular piece, but the leaves are different. They're kind of like the heart-shaped leaves. I actually have that as a shelf sitter. But you put that next to the scarecrow. I mean, oh my gosh, really? Adorable. I absolutely love this. This is so fall, so adorable. I can't wait to put this in my house during fall. I have a lot of fall decor, and this is going to be something special. So, with that being said, I may or may not come back on later on today and start on another element for this fence. If not, I definitely will be on tomorrow. We have 2 more things we have to paint. We've got another element that you stick inside the fence, and then we have the banner, which is 4 different things that are really cute and unique. And this design will be done. And I can't wait to start on something else. So this is where we're at. Loving it. You'll have to let me know what you think if you choose to watch the video. Like I said, I do have a YouTube channel. It's called EleaVeda Designs. I put all my videos up there, and they're separated by series, and very easy to find if you want to, just be inspired to paint. If you buy one of my kits or you buy the SVG and you want to see how I painted it, it's a good reference. If you're just learning how to paint and you're trying to look for some tips and hints, I've got that as well. So, but I'm loving this. So, until then, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.